Ryan, you're just talking about how Ukraine has definitely shifted. The environment in Ukraine has shifted since you first got out there in 2022. Talk us through what you're seeing out there, and what your experience has been over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah. No. First of all, it's awesome to be on here, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. But yeah, it's definitely you can definitely tell a momentum increase on the side of the Russians for sure. Like I was saying, um, they just hit Kharkiv City with two area bombs, and so those are aircraft delivered, and that hasn't happened since I think March. Yeah, it was March of 2022, and so we've been in and out of power. 80% of Kharkiv City is without power right now. They hit one of the power plants there, and a lot of times earlier on, again, just from my experience, I was seeing electrical facilities being hit, but they could be repaired within a week or so and back up and running. And one of the main power plants they hit in Kharkiv, they said it's a year or more in damage to fix. So it's definitely a change in um, I don't know if I want to go as far as to say tactics, but definitely there is an increase
Hmm.
in what they're doing. And basically, I can't speak for Kyiv, just only what we've heard on the news. But up here or over here in Kharkiv, they've definitely increased the strikes. That's and the Shahed drones and everything like that. You can hear them flying overhead at night. It's you hear a lawnmower in the sky. It just doesn't. It just gives you a weird feeling in your stomach, I guess. So,
How far is Kharkiv from Russian controlled area?
I mean, the city is again. I don't want to be incorrect on this, but I want to say we're about 30 kilometers from the border.
From Russian border or from like Donbass region?
No, from the Russian border.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have close proximity to all that stuff. If Russia is able to, or deciding to shift things up, it's well within their range and their capability to start getting assets overhead and troops there pretty quickly.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Kharkiv City is in a very vulnerable part, and it's definitely. I mean, you have obviously everybody's tracking Luhansk, Donetsk, the Donbass region. But yeah, the areas around the bordering, the districts that are on the border of Russia and Ukraine, here in Kharkiv Oblast, yeah, it's very very active, and it's just up the road. So it's pretty close. Yes.
How long you been out there this run?
I got here March 6th, so not too long, about a little under a month. So
And when did you start going over there? Was that in like pretty shortly after things started in March of 2020 or in 2022?
yeah, I went up. Yeah, I first came over the middle of March of 22, and then I went over another two times, so three times in 22. Um, yeah, three times in 23, and then this is 24. So yeah, I've been coming over pretty regularly. Just with when I go home and I fundraise for demining equipment and then bring it back over, and so that basically is that tells when I'm gonna be coming back over next, is when I have enough detectors and remote pull equipment and stuff like that. Then I'll go ahead and start working in a trip. Come over, train up demining organizations, advise them, doing the special operations, train, advise, assist model, which I'm a huge fan of for force multiplication, and training deminers, working in the civilian areas, pulling, removing mines and explosive hazards in these villages and stuff like that. That the government's not going to be able to get to for a while. Number one, they're fighting a war, but number two, this is the world's largest minefield. absolutely, hands down. And it's just there's not enough resources. There's not enough people, and so yeah, we're focusing in these villages that are, within we'll give it a 30-kilometer range. We'll work within the front lines, kind of 30, 20, 15. A little closer than 15 is a little like, what are we really doing here? But we'll work in those areas because regardless if there's a war going on or not, civilians are still trying to live their lives and just getting tore up by either UXOs, unexploded cluster munitions, landmines from the previous fight, or obviously everybody knows landmines are terrain denial, and so maybe they mined this entire area to stop a flank from happening on one of their positions or whatnot, and then they pick up and leave, and civilians start to come back in. Well, they don't know where the minefields are, so yeah, there's a lot of that going on, and that's what we're trying to do. It's not humanitarian clearance, like the organizations like Halo, Truss, and FSD. They do it very, very well. We do more battle area clearance, where we're going in to remove the immediate threats that are going to life, limb, or eyesight. And so that's what we do, because it's just like a hurricane in the States or a tornado. People are going to come back and see what's left, and that's when they're getting tore up.
When you talk about previous fights, are you talking about just like previous engagements during this war, or are you talking about like things from like way back when?
So our main focus is landmines and explosive hazards from this conflict, but we've definitely found World War II munitions. The other day we were out with a unit, and they uncovered German hand grenades. I can't remember the nomenclature. I'm really, really shitty 18 Charlie here, but the long stick with the and they had a whole bundle of those, and I was like, oh, that's let's just you guys should probably blow those in place, man. So
how have you seen things change over the last like couple of years in terms of the landmines, and like, I mean, has their tactics changed at all or anything like that, or is it like, do you pay attention much to that? Or
I do. We do. The tactics haven't really changed. It's the Russians have millions and millions of mines. They can the terrain denial, the area denial. That's the purpose of them, and it's basically. There are some registered minefields, but not very many, and it is basically just indiscriminate mining to prevent a possible offensive, a counteroffensive, a flank, anything like that. And so they'll just like, well, we'll slow them down with mines. And so that's the biggest issue, is they have millions of them and they use millions of them. And we haven't even seen what's beyond those lines of defenses. The first, second, third lines of defense and stuff like that. We haven't even seen what's past all that, and it's nasty. But some of the things that do change is how they booby trap them. Even in the U.S., we use anti-lift, anti-tamper devices, because what's the purpose of that? That's to keep the enemy from recovering those mines and using them against you again. Well, when you're conducting humanitarian, when you're demining for civilians, not for a military operation or in support of military, but when you're demining in support of the civilian population, then now all of a sudden those booby-trapped mines, whether they are anti-lift, anti-tamper, or anything like that, now they're killing sappers that are trying to remove the mines for civilians, and that's the problem with them. So.
And with your story, and obviously you mentioned you were an 18 Charlie, a special forces engineer. You served in Afghanistan. You saw what, I mean, you just said that Ukraine is the world's largest minefield, and that's after you've been in Afghanistan, which probably before this was the world's largest minefield. So you're just hopping from one massive minefield to the next. How did your experience go from special forces in a wartime to now working as basically a solo operator, helping another country in need get assets, get training, and then obviously help them out there on the lines?
Yeah, so actually, it's been absolutely amazing. So Green Berets, obviously, most people know we are force multipliers. Train, advise, assist behind enemy lines, to coerce, disrupt, or overthrow, occupying power government. The UW, the whole unconventional warfare, paragraph there. But unconventional warfare, even though we're not warfighters, we're non-combatants, it fits perfectly into what we're doing because we are in a denied area, because landmines deny the area. It's their terrain denial by purpose. And so we're in a denied area, which fits into, the unconventional warfare statement. And then we are training, we're advising, we're assisting, and we're equipping and force multiplying these units to take back their areas, their farmlands, their villages, and stuff like that. So actually, it's absolutely phenomenal because as a Green Beret, the one thing that I really loved was working in the human domain, doing that train, advise, assist, helping those people out, and that was definitely one of the highlights of my job as a Green Beret. And so it actually transitioned over to this very, very well. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Train, advise, assist works for force multiplication.
And you stepped on a landmine yourself back in Afghanistan, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I got the Taliban, what is it, badge of courage or whatever. I found it though.
Taliban special.
Yeah, I found it. So I'm not that bad of a Charlie because I did find it. Just not the preferred way, I guess. But that's just textbook stuff. Found it.
And so you're able to like genuinely speak to these guys that are out there clearing the minefields. Like, this is what happens when you screw it up. This is the type of repercussions that happen. Obviously, they're seeing it, they're living it. But it just gives you that level of credibility too. It's good to say I was this title with this certification, and then to also be like, I've lived it myself. I know where you guys are coming from, and the fear that your families and your kids and your relatives are all having to live day to day as you're trying to go back to living a normal life.
Yeah, I mean, and what I'm doing now fits perfectly into our motto, De Oppresso Labir, to free the oppressed. Landmines are oppressors. When you have to live in fear of sending your kids out because you're going to hear that loud explosion that changes their lives and your family's life forever, that's an oppression. And so we're following right along with something that I full-heartedly sunk my entire military career into, and that's to free the oppressed. And so, yeah, it's awesome. But let me tell you something that's even better. The units that we're working with. So we are forming Ukrainian veteran demining teams. And these veterans have been catastrophically wounded, whether it's a missing leg, missing arm, or something like that, wanting to get back into the fight again. That's something I know very well after stepping on an IED. I know you have a lot of buddies that have been in the same boat as that. So it's something that we Americans understand very well, getting back in the fight again. And that's not just pulling a trigger. The fight is life, getting back and having that purpose. I believe one of the biggest issues we have right now in the veteran community and also in the first responders community is when people finish up their time, they all of a sudden have no purpose anymore. I used to operate at this level, and now I go to Applebee's to hopefully get a thank you for your service on Veterans Day because they have this void, this void that was filled with whatever job, MOS or career field you were in the military. And now who am I? Now what's my purpose? And I believe that the lack of purpose is definitely leading to the mental health crisis and the higher suicide rates. And so and I know this because when I left Afghanistan in July of 21, I was sitting there on my couch thinking, well, that was my entire life. What now? What now? What am I going to do? Go greet people at Lowe's and tell, like, I'm not saying that's a bad job either. That would be great. As I get older, but you understand what I mean. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting there and it's now who is Ryan Hendrickson? And so as the news was breaking February 24th, where everybody is probably glued to their TVs watching what's unfolding, I decided to come over and help out a missionary organization evacuate women and children from the suburbs of Kyiv, Bucha, Irpin, a couple of the more, I hate to say famous because that's a fancy word for some really bad shit that happened there, but a couple of the more famous suburbs of Kyiv that we were evacuating people out of. And all of a sudden, I found my purpose. I had it. I was helping people. I was, there was a little risk involved. There was some adventure involved, and you were generally looking at these people that have lost everything. They're probably kissing their husbands goodbye for the last time because men had to stay, and they're fleeing west, whether it's Poland, Romania, Hungary, whoever is going to take them, this mass flood of refugees, and their life has changed forever. And I'm over there. We're unarmed because we're non-combatants, and we start this mission of helping people to get to safety. So there's a chance sometime in the future they're going to be able to come back and start to rebuild their lives again, what's left of it. And so as we were doing this, I started to feel this purpose. This void was being fulfilled, and a lot of my void was an entitlement issue I had. Oh, well, I used to do this, and now I can't even blah blah. And so I was entitled to what I thought I should be represented as, or what I thought I should be getting as a retired Green Beret. And the entitlement was it was absolutely killing me with depression and not having a purpose. And now all of a sudden, I'm in Ukraine and I'm doing something that's bigger than myself. I'm doing something that these people will never see who I am again. And, to that matter, they don't need to. But the fulfillment that I was getting from helping them. And all of a sudden I realized it's like, there's something here. Well, as the Russians started to move east, civilians, again, hurricane tornado style, started to come back to see what's left of my village, what's left of my home. The babushkas, the grandmothers, will not leave their home. It is that death is preferable than to leave in your home. So coming back for the grandmothers, the grandfathers, and stuff like that, and just seeing what's left. And next thing you know, boom, boom, boom. They don't know where the minefields are. They don't know where the booby traps are. They don't know where all these devices that have been put in to slow down the counteroffensive or the pursuing forces. They don't know where any of this stuff's at.
Probably didn't even know to look for them at that point. At the initial stage of the war, they're just walking back.
Yeah, and so now all of a sudden we're in damage control mode, and it's like, oh well, I can help with this. And it took one instance. We were driving through a checkpoint, and I saw these Ukrainian territory defense soldiers. They're like, territory defense is like a very heavily armed neighborhood watch with a lot less training. And you don't want to be on the receiving end of that. But they were out there with these Chea handheld detectors. And I was like, holy crap, stop. That was my right arm in Afghanistan. Like, whoa, let's go talk to him. And we found out that they had just been told that they were now a sapper unit. And I was like, oh, do you guys have any training?
Ominous Dominus, you're now a sapper.
Seriously. Yep. You guys have any training? No. Well, one guy, I mean, I've seen a tank mine before, and it's like, so what are you guys going to do? It's like, we were given these detectors and we're going to be taken out to a location tomorrow to remove mines. And I was like, who's your commander? And so I asked him, hey, can I have a few hours with these guys? And tip of the spear, landmine removal took off from there. And that, going back to what I was talking about with the purpose, now all of a sudden I'm doing something that I'm relatively decent at. You know, I can find them, whether I step on them or I find them with a detector. I can find mines. I'm really good at it. It's just the technique, maybe not. But now I'm training these guys up, and we're force multiplying, and now they actually have a fighting chance. And then I get invited to go out and help them. And so now we're training, we're advising, and we're assisting and force multiplying. The word starts to spread. So I go home and I'm like, oh crap, let me bring over the equipment I know will set these guys up for success. Raise money, come back over, train, donate equipment, advise and assist. Okay, they're good to go. Repeat. And that's what I've been doing. And so now with these Ukrainian veterans that we're working with, the new unit we're starting up, it's all Ukrainian veterans that have been like, hey, thank you for your service, but you're not qualified to, you know, you're missing limbs, dude. Like, relax a bit. Well, I understand this. And so now they're volunteering for these demining units. And so it's going to be U.S. veterans, because we're veteran owned and operated, but it's going to be U.S. veterans that are coming over to Ukraine, train, advise, assist Ukrainian veterans. And we're going to start to force multiply multiple teams throughout the country to tackle this landmine crisis. And this is the exact, I guess this is the same model we're going to use Africa, Southeast Asia, everywhere. And it works. I firmly believe in train, advise, assist. I know it works. I've seen it work in Afghanistan, and it's going to work here too. And we're going to force multiply and just really start to tackle these minefields. But what it does is it gives them a purpose. They fought for their country. Now, again, they're doing their job to help take back their country from these hidden explosive dangers. And it gives U.S. veterans their purpose. They're over here and they're helping out and they're advising and they're fellowshipping and they're filling that void too. And it's just I'm just super excited about it. I really am. And it's not just U.S. veterans. Any Western partnered country, absolutely. But I'm just really, really excited about it. I think, yeah, it's awesome. Veterans helping veterans. Language difference, but you guys know what I mean. So
you work about that. You work through it.
Yeah, definitely.
When you talk about word spreading, how has that changed the level of threat for you, like from a security standpoint? How has that changed over the last couple of years, and how do you deal with it?
So yeah, it's definitely something that we have to take into consideration for sure. I'm very open online about our humanitarian operation. I'm very vocal about it, and I show what we're doing with demining in civilian areas for the civilian population. But as far as like, kind of watching ourselves and just watch, OPSEC and stuff like that. Yeah, no, it's definitely a thing. You don't want to be a target of opportunity. But in the end, I do not believe we are targets at all. Now, if we're in an area that gets hit and we're there, sorry, man, shit, stuff happens in war. But no, I don't believe, I haven't seen the targeting of legitimate humanitarian organizations in Ukraine. I haven't seen them directly targeted. So although we are very conscious about our OPSEC and what we portray, like our guys are non-combatants, but I still blur their faces out and stuff like that. It's just smart. It's smart business. But yeah, that's, just doing the little things like that. But no, I don't feel that we're a targeted NGO at all. So.
Are you concerned though that the information you're putting out there is getting back to the Russian side, and then they're going to start changing how they employ mines, the tamper type stuff that's on there just to keep, obviously they want them to stay active.
Mm-hmm.
Is there concerns that what you're doing is going to cause changes that'll dramatically affect what you guys are doing?
Yeah. So in the beginning, I definitely had to change my tactics up. In the beginning, it was like, hey, this is us removing a TM62 anti-tank mine. Now, we only the only things that I would actually record was something that you would find in any host nation's combat engineering handbook. Nothing, no special ways we're doing it or anything like that. But now, when we're actually doing operations, you'll see the end result. Like, hey, look at all the mines we removed today, or again, something that is very, very basic, that's not going to change the way that they operate or the way that they are placing in mines or anything like that. And we also we do our due diligence online, where we look on Telegram. Telegram's the big one, and man, both sides, Russian and Ukrainian, they record everything, and I've learned some stuff. I was like, oh, that's really cool, dude. Thank you. So yeah, what we're putting out there, yeah, the stuff that's already on Telegram and stuff like that, we can't even touch it. But if it did come to sensitive items, if it came to us finding an item that that is sensitive in nature, then no, that would be an automatic no-go, and we would send it up through the proper authorities, like we do with everything. And then take a step back and say, okay, you guys got it. All right, good, we're out, kind of thing. Because we don't deal in stuff like that. Like I said, I try and keep it as much about civilian area clearance as possible. It's a war, so not everything is 100%, but no, our mission here is one thing, and that's for the civilian population. That's it. So, yeah, we try and keep our. I definitely try and keep what we put online to just show the donors. The reason why I post so much online is because people that are going to take their time to donate to me, we only fundraise off of social media. So people that are going to take their time and their hard-earned money to donate to our mission, I want them to see what we're doing. This is what we're doing with your money. 100%. You can request our 990s anytime you want. Here's all the detectors that we got, and this is what we're doing with those donations. So that's the reason why I'm so visible, is a two-part. I want anybody who's tracking, because Russians are tracking every Westerner in Ukraine. If the U.S. can do it, Russia can do it. But number one, we are strictly humanitarian and here for the civilian population. That's it. And then the second reason is donors need to see what their money's going towards, because there's a lot of NGO fraud. There really is, and we will not be caught up in any of that.
So I just posted a couple days ago. We spoke with Kyle Bucket, who he's one of the co-founders of One More Wave. Obviously, built a massive international organization and has a ton of experience with nonprofits. And we had him on as a guest with our webinar. He was talking about, hey, for people that are interested in starting nonprofits, here's my advice: don't, because there. And this was geared towards veterans back stateside that they want to do equestrian training to help with PTSD, or they want to do outdoor leadership stuff to help with whatever other things are there. And essentially saying there's 3,500 applications for a 501c3 to the IRS every month, and there's just
wow.
so many organizations. Yeah, there's a ton. And so it's like, basically, if you come up with a nonprofit idea, chances are there's a dozen or more others that are doing the same thing. And the difference between a for-profit business and a nonprofit is that a nonprofit is competing with every other nonprofit out there, versus a business, you're only competing with people in your industry. So he's given the suggestion, if you don't have experience with a nonprofit, maybe just go work for someone that's doing something similar so you can learn about it.
Mm-hmm.
You obviously would have won his bet. He put out a bet the other day saying $100 if you have a nonprofit idea, I bet you I can find at least one, if not 10 others within a 30-minute conversation with you. Yours is obviously very unique. You did mention a couple others, but it sounds like they have a slightly different purpose. You're very strictly looking at humanitarian removal in this country. You've since expanded to other areas that you'll be looking to.
Mm-hmm.
But the question that I'm getting is, you jump right into this. You said you were working with this one humanitarian organization that was moving people, evacuating people, and then helping them come back into society. And then you stumbled upon this potential space of demining.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been doing to, you got out a year before you started doing this. You weren't heavily involved in business. You didn't have a ton of nonprofit experience. Where have you been drawing your insight, your business knowledge, your nonprofit knowledge? You have a co-founder with you that's like, yeah, I'll handle the business side. You manage the technical training, or is this all you doing it yourself, figuring it out as you
go? I'm learning by getting my ass kicked weekly with
so
just
approach to being an 18 Charlie. I'll step on the landmines, or I'll find the landmines.
Yeah. No, so in the very beginning, I was with this missionary organization, and a really, really good friend of mine, Dave Cunningham. It's, their family founded Youth with a Mission, great missionary organization. And so I've been able to learn a lot from Dave and how they do the missionary organization. But so there's a lot of demining NGOs. There's only 2 in the United States that are actually 501c3, Golden West and Tip the Spear. And I was like, man, so that was really good. Like, our 501c3 was approved in 2 weeks. It was insane. I think the IRS was like, wow, this is, sure, bud, here you go. Click. But the biggest thing there's been a couple really, really tough lessons learned. Number one, so coming off of active duty, and then coming into a nonprofit world where, in my mind, I thought this was, hey, we're all here to help the innocent caught in the middle. That's what we're doing. And I'm thinking this is going to be a gigantic team room where everyone's just like, yeah, let's do the mission. Let's accomplish the mission. Let's help some people. This is good. Because if you wanted to be a millionaire and have a yacht on the Mediterranean and stuff like that, why would you do the nonprofit? Like, it just makes no sense, because it's nonprofit. So I had really bad management expectation when I started this up. The reason why I put in for the 501c3 is because people were donating, and I was like, look, I can't give you anything back, but let me get tax deductible, and that'll help you out somewhat. I hope. But the management expectation part with me was, I thought that this was going to be one big happy family. Why would there be competition in any of this? Well, oh my gosh, I got blindsided quite a few times. Just not understanding my environment. I failed to understand the environment and then to adapt to it. Well, correction, I did adapt. I went kicking and screaming into adaptation, but I failed to understand my environment. I didn't do the research. I jumped straight into it, and I had zero idea what I was doing at all. None. And I just thought it was going to be like, cool, people donate, I bring over equipment, we remove landmines, force multiply. Yeah, this is going to be amazing. And then in the demining world, we're all probably like best friends, grabbing a beer on the way. You gotta be. Demining's so dangerous. Why wouldn't we all be best friends? Whew. Yeah, money. I did not realize how can I say this without becoming a target again? competitive. I did not realize how competitive the nonprofit world was. Like, absolutely blew my mind. Just didn't know. And so, yeah, there was times and I was like, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? Like, I don't need to be attacked online for trying to help people. Like, I'm done. And then, you know, I'd pray about it and just really like, okay, you know, what is it that, yeah, like, God, what are you asking me to do? What are you calling me to do? And then a door would open up. I'm like, well, okay, I guess I'll continue being the nonprofit punching bag, but I'm going to go through this door and I'm going to continue with the mission. And so, yeah, it was definitely, I was forced to adapt to a world that I don't agree with. I don't agree with competition in the nonprofit world. But I'm figuring out that's kind of the way it is. And you either adapt and overcome and stick true to your mission statement. Don't mission drift. Stick true to your mission statement and stick to, you know, stick to your vision. You're here to help people. If you want millions of dollars, and again, that plane and the yacht and stuff like that, there's plenty of ways to do that. The nonprofit world should not be it. And so,
unfortunately, it is. You mentioned earlier that there's just huge amounts of I don't know necessarily corruption, but you know, fraud in that space where these organizations have huge amounts of money coming in, and it's human nature. You know, if your organization all of a sudden you're getting millions of dollars donated to you, it can be very easy to maybe let a couple purchases or expenses go through that maybe they shouldn't have. You hire the wrong people, it starts creating the wrong culture. We tell people all the time, the only difference between a nonprofit and a for-profit business is how you're structuring your company with taxes. Both businesses require revenue coming in, whether that's coming in through donations or you're selling a product or service and you have customers giving you money for it. Both sides need money to operate. You know, you need to hire people. You need to have assets. You need to have equipment. You need to have training. You need to have travel, especially for something like like travel and equipment. It's huge.
Yeah.
And so these nonprofits, they get very cutthroat because there's no difference between your nonprofit that's providing demining and a nonprofit that's helping with human trafficking and a nonprofit that's helping with drug abuse and a nonprofit that's helping homelessness, because all of your revenue stream comes from the same pot of money. It's people looking to have expendable income and they're going to give it to you, whether it's a business or an individual. It's the same pool of people that everyone's going after. You're saying, will you give money to my organization? This is what we're trying to do. And that's exactly what Kyle Bucket was talking about. You know, in the space of like Nike's competing with athletic companies. Gatorade's competing with sports drinks. They don't compete with like cereal brands. But in the nonprofit space, every one of you guys is competing for each other's attention. And so I 100% get where you're coming from. And it's terrible that you guys are having to experience this, especially for someone like you. They're like, no, this should be an easy endeavor. That money should be flowing in. Yeah, they should be money flowing in from people to be like, yes, let's get these mines out of here. It's like piracy. Everyone can admit that civilians and mines should never be put together. We want to get rid of it. But now you're having to deal with people, slandering your name and what you're doing and whatever it might be. And now it's making your job more difficult because all you want to do is train the Ukrainians on how to do this thing. And now you're needing to fight back against people slandering your name or whatever it is you're doing with your mission.
Yeah.
Off my soapbox now.
As you well know, it gets exhausting. I mean, I've laid in bed a couple nights and I was just like, what am I doing? What am I doing? But it's an easy fix. Pray and stick to your mission statement. As long as you are, and again, I'm not trying to, go down a religious road here, but just my little piece. As long as you're doing, what your faith and your belief is telling you to do, and you're sticking to your mission statement, it's hard to go wrong. It's hard to go wrong because I do think most organizations start off with pure intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can stick to to that mission statement of why you guys started, what are we here to do? Yeah, it's yeah, but that's, I don't know. I've had some long nights questioning it, and those are the answers. Is I believe in my heart I'm doing the right thing, and I believe I'm doing what God called me to do, and I just keep it at that, and just keep trucking along.
Are you operating alone? I brought up the question earlier, but do you have a COO? Do you have someone running the business so you can operate, or are you actually doing it all yourself?
So I'm the CEO, but yeah, no, we got another bunch of guys that jumped on board. Well, guys and girls, sorry. But yeah, we got our COO. He's a retired 10th group guy. We got our medics 18 Delta. We obviously, if we're a demining organization, you need to have like for real EOD guys, not pretend EOD guys like myself. And so we got we have schoolhouse trained a couple EOD guys. Well, guy and a girl, so it's awesome. And then HR and logistics, yeah. So, but as we start to increase with bringing veterans over and stuff like that, it's obviously gonna have to expand and bringing in more people and stuff like that. But there are hundreds of people that want to come over and volunteer and help and stuff like that. Once this mission is set up with the Ukrainian government, it's going to be a lot of fun, and we're going to help a lot of people, but we will need to expand for sure.
What are you guys needing most right now?
What do we need most right now?
Yeah, money, is it equipment? Is it people with training?
So equipment's always the big one. Detectors. I only use CHEA detectors. Just the sensitivity, ground compensation, and you're able to operate within a foot of another detector as long as it's on a different channel, stuff like that. And I trust my life to the CHEA detector, so that's all I'll donate to our Ukrainian counterparts. But yeah, equipment's always the big one. Equipment and operating costs. But as we start to bring more people in, then costs for operating costs for that and the mission and everything like that, that'll start to become a bigger footprint. But right now, at the most, there's 3 Americans that will travel over. This trip, it was just me. We didn't feel the need for, we got guys on standby that could, jump on a plane and be out here, but just me this time. But yeah, at the most 3 guys. And so that's not logistically, that's not hard. But as we start to increase, probably actually bringing in a real CEO, not just the pretend one. And I'll go to owner operator, because that's where my heart is operating. And so, stuff like that, as we grow, we'll also have to, start to address a lot of these, big concerns. And like I said, CEO is probably one of the bigger ones. Actually having a CEO that, not talking down about myself, but a CEO that knows how to do this with an organization that's expanding, that's growing, that's international, that's dealing in landmines and stuff like that. It's going to be, there's a time coming up where it's going to be really important to have somebody that has this experience and to bring them onto the team.
Yeah, and then that just allows you to do what you like, and keep you on the ground and doing what you love. So that's super important.
Yeah, absolutely. Because 2-finger typing, needless amount of documents is just dumb. Yeah.
So if the war was to end tomorrow, like, because I'm thinking about like longevity and like what you would do next once Ukraine starts like winding down. If things were to end tomorrow, how busy or how long could you be busy for over there?
The rest of my life, easily.
Really?
There are so many landmines here. I've never seen anything like it.
If you were to make an estimate, what is the number that you guys and other official organizations are estimating the landmine and anti-personnel and anti-tank and any type of explosive devices that are buried?
The estimations are hard because we still haven't been able to figure out behind the first, second, and third layers of defense that the Russians have put up, which probably the entire eastern area. That's well over 1 million mines. But my uneducated answer to that is tens of millions of mines, cluster munitions. I mean, think about this. We were in a field one time, and the villagers had told us that Russian trucks were driving up and down this road, and they were shooting things out of these canisters. Well, there's a couple scatterable mines that come out of the canisters, and the PFM1 butterfly mine, that's a big one that vehicles will shoot out of canisters hundreds at a time. And I said, well, how many times were they doing this? And they were like 50, 100 or more. That's well over 25,000 PFM mines in one field.
And how big are these mines?
What's that?
How big are these mines? Is it anti-personnel?
Yeah, anti-personnel. No, they're just I'm looking around the room like I have one in my apartment. Sorry. They're just little butterfly mines. Like I could tell you the size of a mouse probably. Yeah.
Okay.
And extremely sensitive. The PFM1s cannot be safed. They have to be blown in place or burnt. The PFM1Ss supposedly have a self-destruct mechanism to them, but the fail rate on them is extremely high. So now you have this little butterfly mine that's enough to, blow probably a couple toes off, or it'll blow your hand off if you pick it up and it's able to detonate.
More maiming than killing.
Oh yeah, they're straight up to maim, not to kill. I'll take 3 or 4 guys out of the fight to treat this guy and to get him off the battlefield, or I can just kill him. They'll just GPS mark the guy and continue on with the mission, and then come back and get him in the end. But yeah, these things are nasty, and just one field, just with the amount of passes this farmer said they did, at least 25,000 mines in just one field. And I've seen other areas where in one just in one square, let's say like a 5x5, 5 to 7 anti-personnel mines protecting one anti-tank mine, and now you're looking at this entire field of 100 hectaacres, and you're knowing that each, there's probably 1,000 TM62s out there, anti-tank mines, which are being protected by probably at least the minimum 4 PMN mines. Just doing the math on one field. Yeah, there's tens of millions of mines in Ukraine, mines in explosive or unexploded ordnances. The cluster munitions, holy cow. Yeah, whatever lot the Russians are using on some of their clusters is not a good lot, because the fail rate on them is crazy, and they're everywhere and super sensitive. Yeah, it's just there. People have asked me quite a few times, because I do get the question, how long will it take to completely demine Ukraine? And I said, I don't think Ukraine will ever be completely mine-free. I don't see how it's possible. And I go back to Europe, look at Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam. I just don't think it's possible to remove, confidently to say every single landmine has been removed from this country. It's just, there's too many. There's too many. And unfortunately, civilians are going to be finding them for years and years and years to come. We're going to constantly hear about this tractor blowing up, or this farmer being killed, or people out mushroom picking, because mushroom picking is a huge thing here in Ukraine. Well, that means you got to go into the woods, and a lot of the forests and the plasadkas and stuff like that, they're all mined, and they're finding it out the hard way. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I don't know the answer on how many mines, but I know it's millions, and I don't know if you could ever remove them all.
Is there an efficient way to go about demining an entire field like that? When you're talking about thousands of, I mean, could you just like set like an airplane over the top of it and just have them bomb it? Would that be enough?
So the problem with that is, so they do that at times, but the Russians also have anti-personnel mines that are resistant to overpressure, and you still got to go out and clear them. Because you don't know if that aerial bombardment has got them all or not. Machines. So using these demining machines in the farm fields, they work really good for some of the bigger mines. But then when you start to get into the butterfly mines and stuff like that, a lot of times those flails will till them up and bury them in the ground. And then winter, spring, summer, fall, winter, spring, summer, fall, they start to make their way back up again. Little kid finds it, boom. So all the areas, regardless of what technology you use, and there's some good stuff out there. I've seen some phenomenal stuff make its way into Ukraine. It's actually 100% reminds me of that first IED that blew up in 2003, and everyone was like, what was that? And then all this innovation coming in to combat, IEDs. Well, I'm seeing that here in Ukraine as well. But demining still, I would like to say that there is no technology that will ever replace a human being with a detector. But I've been seeing some crazy stuff with AI, so I don't want to say never. John Connor may have been onto something. I don't know with Skynet,
Just maybe not soon.
But there, the fact of the matter is for you to confidently look at that farmer and say, "Hey, you are good," but more importantly, your wife and your kids are good. You got to have boots on the ground removing those mines. Now, with the PFM, like the butterfly mines and stuff like that, if you can get around the farm fields and dig in fire lines, then just burn it. Just burn the fields. Obviously, you want to be upwind from it, because those fumes from the liquid explosives in the PFM ones, that's instant cancer. But the problem is with burning is the fields are so mined that if the fire starts to get out of control and heading towards the villages, because again, they haven't been able to do controlled burns in 2 years. Like, they do controlled burns every single year. And that keeps down on the fires and everything. Well, because of the landmine situation, they haven't been able to do controlled burns. So now the biggest concern is, one thing catches on fire, how far is that fire going to go, and how much is it going to destroy? And that's the big issue with burning now, is we can't actually get in to cut in fire lines to control these burns, because like a PFM1 field, oh yeah, all day, every day, burn it. But you got to be able to control those fires so you don't burn down, a village's livelihood, stuff like that. So there's definitely a lot of you got to take a lot of things into account over here. Farm fields are a big priority because Ukraine feeds a lot of the world, and so the second and the third order effects of having Ukraine mined is flat out the agricultural exports. And now, if you look at using food as a weapon, a lot of the African countries that rely on Ukrainian agricultural exports, now who are they getting it from? Well, Russia.
Basically what we're seeing is modern day salting of the fields.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but with landmines,
tearing it up. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Instead of salting it, which we probably have means of getting around nowadays, there's like, well, we'll landmine it. Now that field's again unusable.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so who's going to fill that agricultural void? Well, yeah, it's pretty easy. So unfortunately, it's very, very effective. Very effective.
Are you seeing much in the way of combining? Excuse my ignorance. You said that the CIA detectors.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Can you combine that with, you know, a drone flying it over, and just having like a swarm of these ground penetrating radar type drones going over a field and geotagging all the stuff out there, or is that technology that would be nice but it's not in existence yet?
A lot of work is coming. There are people there's drone innovations coming every single day out here regarding demining and actually locating landmines, because one of the longest processes of one of the jobs of demining is NTS, or non-technical survey. That's basically you're running around trying to find that first mine. Once you find that first mine, where there's one, there's a mine belt. Very, 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 very rarely do you ever stumble across one mine where it's like, there's nothing else in this area. That's somebody accidentally dropped it then. But yeah, the non-technical surveys and the technical surveys just to find that minefield, holy cow, it takes up so much time. And so, yeah, using drones to be able to locate these mines, it's a great, this is what I tell everybody. It's the same thing with when we were in the teams like dogs, and stuff like that. Dogs are a great tool. Do not forget the basics. Well, that's the same thing with drones. Drones are a great tool, but you still have to execute the basics. If this drone finds a mine here, I still got to clear all the way out to that mine, because what didn't the drone find? And stuff like that. So yeah, drones are the technology advances on drones are just blowing my mind, and that's another thing is we need to get some nerds in on the team for sure. But yeah, it's just an amazing tool to assist you with the basics, and that's what I tell everybody, because it's very Ukrainians, just like number of infantry guys and anyone else. I've seen a reliant on technology and forgetting the basics. And the basics is, I mean, that's, they've been proven. That's why they're still in the Ranger handbook, or, whatever. It's, you can't go live in a shoot house without actually knowing how to do a 25-meter flat range. Like, it's the basics. So that's, yeah, but no, the technology, oh man, they got drones with thermal, all kinds of stuff. And, you fly it over a field right as the sun's going down. The earth is cooling, but those mines are still hot from the sun. It'll pick up mine belts, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, it's still a great tool to have in the tool bag. That's for sure.
Have you seen any like dirty tactics over there? I mean, aside from just like spraying landmines literally all over the place, have you seen anything that's like questionable on top of that?
Yeah. I'll just if I could not, I'll pass on that one, please, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah,
absolutely. So with your next trip, I know you're finishing up one right now. You have you said a couple months left, and you've been scheduling these trips around getting the equipment you need. It sounds like you have a pending agreement with the Ukrainian government to get them trained up. When you get back, what's going to be your timeline to getting back out there? You have the agreement, more of these sensors, more people, more money. What's going to be the metric? Be like, all right, we're launching again on this date.
Yeah. Did I lose everybody?
No, we got you.
No, you're still here.
Okay. Yeah. The every single mission revolves around fundraising. So once I figure out, before I leave from Ukraine, I always have the next unit lined up. And now, like I said, it's going to be the next group of veterans, of Ukrainian veterans. And so once I have a number, of, okay, this is what the group looks like. Obviously, just like everywhere, word spreads over the months you're at home. More guys come in. So, all right, I got 25 guys. I need 100 detectors for this next trip. Remote pull equipment, everything like that. So I'm constantly talking with these units while I'm at home fundraising. But literally, once the funds come in for that next mission, and I know I have, because in Ukraine, unless you have temporary residency, it's 3 months in, 3 months out. And so if I've been in country 3 months, then I'm going to be at home for 3 months. But usually we'll have everything we need for the next mission within that 3 months. And if we don't, then I do management expectation with the Ukrainian unit. Like, hey, look, I feel like I need to come back over and at least get what we got to you guys, get the guys trained up. And then we'll reapproach the rest of it. But an operator, a trained deminer with the proper equipment in his hands, you're looking at hundreds to thousands of landmines in that guy's capability over 1-2 years easily. So if I can bring over, if we only get enough for 10 detectors and remote removal equipment, that's 10 guys times, they're working 6 days a week over here on the minefield. So you're talking hundreds of mines per month, times that by, you know what I mean? And you're getting them the proper training to stay safe, to not outrun their headlights, and to, just everything they need to be safe, efficient, which all equals landmines out of the ground. And that to me is like, I will have a point in time, like, okay, even if we don't have the detectors that I need for this next group at this time, I'm going to be heading back over, because I'll always have the money set aside for the plane tickets, for my operating costs, which the apartment that we have over here is $15 a day. So it's not, it's not bad. And then, we'll come over because at least we're getting detectors into the hands of guys that are going to continue to remove these mines. So that's kind of how we judge our very long explanation. I apologize, but that's kind of how we judge our missions, and it's off a timeline. Once we get to this date, whatever we have, we're out the door.
Gotcha. And do you guys have any kind of agreement or contact with the manufacturer of these sensors? Like
the Cheas
or whoever it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're so Chea is an Italian detector, and they invited us out to their facility in Tuscany, Italy. Oh, it was really horrible. I can't believe we had to do it. But it was great. They are such a great family. Just amazing organization. So what's crazy is the Chea detectors, and I won't go too far into this, but a very small part of their organization is detectors for military forces, whether it's U.S. or what other country has an agreement with them. The airports, those detectors that scan everything, or you walk through them, that's all Chea. Or if you go to these major food distributing places, all the food has to go through detectors to make sure, you don't get that bag of rice that has a nail in it. And now, whatever rice or company is getting sued for however much. Yeah. Detectors in agricultural products is huge. I didn't know this. And yeah, it's just massive.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's amazing that they invited you out there to see their organization, see their facilities, to help you guys be more effective in what it is you guys are doing. So you guys are, I'm assuming, able to get hopefully discounted rates, since you're trying to get as many of these detectors as you can. into the hands of the Ukrainians. And what sounds like you guys are looking to expand as well, when you're able to Africa and Southeast Asia and other areas that have been notoriously mined.
Yeah, I mean, so brand new, I can buy the detectors at a GSA price. But what the military does, and I love it, and as you guys both well know, the military is like, oh, we got the version 900 in, so version 899, get rid of it all. And so it goes to auctions. Still good, still great equipment, but we got the newer version in, so now, hey, let's get rid of these other ones. And so I go to the auction sites and that's where I pick up the majority of my detectors. Is all used, like the Marine Corps. Now they're all using CHEA version 3s. So CHEA version 2s, yeah, I mean, that's a $2,400 detector, brand new. Well, GSA price, but you can get them now for $700, a detector and stuff like that. And so it's definitely, and then, they've all been function tested, everything. They've been used. And so, that's how we keep, keep things going. And there's no end in sight, because again, as the military upgrades to something else, well, they get rid of the other one. And, then that's when my NGO swoops in. It's kind of like dumpster diving, but I like it.
The fun version of dumpster diving. You're getting cool stuff out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, so that's how we do it right there, and we do it at a cost that we can afford. So
that's awesome. How's the morale over there?
How do I answer this? It's sensitive. There's definitely between November coming up for the U.S. Just with what the what the Russians have been doing lately. Some of the other issues that have surrounded Ukraine. Morale is a
lot of uncertainty.
It's thank you. A lot of uncertainty right now. It's morale is definitely. I've seen it higher. I'll put it that way. But there's a lot of uncertainty. And yeah, people just don't know. The Russians have definitely increased what they've been doing. And a lot of the support has taken time. I guess that's the correct way of putting it. Yeah. And so, yeah, there's a lot of questions being asked. Is this something that can be sustained? Russia has the manpower to continue to send guys into a meat grinder for years and years and years. Ukraine does not. So, what's the answer? And there's a lot of nasty rumors, spreading around about the outcomes in Ukraine. But again, it's rumors, and I try and keep as out of the politics and as out of military decision making and all that other stuff as I can. But yeah, it's all around us, and there's a lot of people that are very very nervous about the outcome and what it's going to be. And Ryan Hendrickson's opinion only, uneducated, just my personal opinion. I don't think this war sees 2025. I believe that there's going to be, it won't be an end, but there'll be a ceasefire. And how the map looks now, Ryan Hendrickson's opinion only. nothing to back it up, but I don't see the map changing much from what we see right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fair enough. So as you're going forward and people they're listening to this, they want to contribute, where can they go? Where can they find information? Where can they send donations? Where can they send equipment, or get in contact with you if they have connections they want to make?
Yeah, so our website's landmineremoval.org. And on there, that has emails to me, phone numbers, everything like that. But landmineremoval.org is that's the best one right there to reach out and say hi, or tell me whatever it is. I've gotten messages ranging all the way from I should be focused on veterans at home and not in Ukraine. And I was like, you realize we demine. And I was like, if there's ever a landmine crisis in the U.S., I promise you I will do my very best to help out. To people saying thank you, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's the best way right there, landmineremoval.org.
And finding channels for donations, is there a link on there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a link for Stripe and Venmo as well. Or I'm sorry, Stripe and PayPal as well on there. And it's all, again, when you make a donation, it automatically gives you the tax deductible receipt. So
amazing. Yeah, and I know running an organization like this is daunting in and of itself, let alone working in a war zone, training people up, and doing a lot of it yourself. It's a Herculean effort. So we really appreciate everything you're doing. If there's anything we can do to help, we're happy to keep spreading the word. Let us know.
This I just appreciate.
Definitely needs to happen.
Yeah, I just appreciate the conversation. This was awesome. I looked up and it's already been an hour. I was like, oh crap.
Yeah.
But no, this is awesome conversation. I just appreciate that. It's not a lot of people understand me over here right now, so it's great just to bullshit, tell you the truth.
Yeah. Sure. Good, man.
I mean, that's half the reason why we started this podcast. We just want to be able to have good conversations with people like you that are doing amazing work. We talked a bunch about it at the beginning about having that purpose, that meaning in your work. You're a quintessential role model for guys that follow. Like, you don't have to be making millions of dollars to feel purpose. Most people shouldn't be making millions of dollars to find purpose. It's a very small sector of the population that finds purpose in making money. It's usually coming down to doing good, helping out with something bigger than yourself. And so for guys that are struggling to find purpose, reach out to you, see what they can do to help. We have the Vet Collective where we're teaching entrepreneurship, and one of those aspects is nonprofits. I know we shit talked a little bit about nonprofits. That's just largely because we get so many veterans. I honestly think it comes down to veterans feeling uncomfortable taking money for their services, because in the military, that's just so counterintuitive to what we do. So they see nonprofits. The misconception is a nonprofit is something to do good. We don't take money. We're not capitalism. We're just here to do good. And as you mentioned, there's all kinds of fraud, waste, and abuse and drama within the nonprofit world. There's absolutely nothing wrong with for-profit companies. You can do a lot of good in those areas.
Absolutely.
But yeah, entrepreneurship, whether you're doing nonprofit, for-profit, buying a business, starting a business, opening a franchise, there's so many options out there. Greg and I are huge proponents of getting into entrepreneurship or supporting founders that are to really find meaning in life after the military.
Yes, that is absolutely key. Find your purpose. What you did in the military, absolutely. It made you who you are. From your first days at boot camp until whether you ETS out or you retire, whatever it is, the military definitely molded you into what you are today. But you are not that person. I'm sorry, you are not that job. You are not that occupation. You are a person. And it's not really letting go of the past, because everything I did as a Green Beret has set me up to help other people. But You definitely have to find your purpose again, and that's that's where a lot of veterans are falling on their face right now, is because they don't understand that that it's really hard work to get out. I mean, we're institutionalized in the military. You have to be that way to be a cohesive fighting force. But once you get out, you have to understand that that part of your life, although what you did was great, honorable, and everything like that, um, now you need to transition. Use those skills, use those experiences. Biggest one, use those failures to make yourself stronger, to build yourself up, to what I tell guys is to help other people. There's not a lot of self-fulfilled people out there that didn't ever need anybody. They never had to help anybody, never wanted to help any. There's very few of those that are truly happy, if any. I just don't know for sure. But usually happiness and that fulfillment, it comes around helping other people. And I believe it. I believe it with all, with everything that's in me, like helping other people. There's a fulfillment there and a purpose there that you will find who you are, and you will find your happiness. I can promise you that. You just got to figure out what your purpose is, and that's that's the hard part. It is.
That's the $1 million question.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. But veterans need to also understand there is a ton of resources. Don't go at it alone. That's stupid. You wouldn't do it in combat. Don't do it. Don't do it here. Don't go at it alone. There is a ton of resources to help veterans out. So, yeah, the person that thinks they're alone in a fight is because they chose it that way. It's not the truth. There are people. There are people here to help. 100% in my belief, my opinion.
Absolutely. Well, awesome, Ryan. Thank you so much for sharing your story, for A, being out there doing what you're doing, B, sharing your story. Be safe out there. We'll keep doing what we can on our end to spread the word, and push as many resources your way as we can.
Yeah, man, I can't thank you guys enough. Tonight was awesome. Thank you guys very much. This was great.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, guys. All right.
Take care.
Good night.